Is it Article 29.5.2, which provides the state shall not be bound by any international agreement involving a charge upon the public funds unless the terms of the agreement shall have been approved by Dáil Éireann? Is that the one you're planning to use?
Sorry, Deputy, I'd have to check that with the Attorney General. But yeah, I think so. I'm not sure there's another one. That would be the one we would use as standard, that international agreements are concluded by Dáil Éireann. So to answer the question, is that yes, because that I think that's the one we always use.
Okay,
I'm not sure there was another one.
Thank you, Taoiseach. I asked the question because in your opening statement, as far as I can remember, because as you know, you haven't given us a copy of it, you said that there would be no charge upon the public funds in relation to this agreement.
No, in terms of the ICS. In terms of the ICS, there won't be, because that'll be paid for out of the budget of the European Commission and the Canadian government. But we accept that this treaty requires Dáil ratification. Absolutely.
So is there going to be a charge in relation to this treaty?
Sorry, I don't...
Is there going to be a charge on the public funds in relation to this treaty?
Not of any... no, unless...
Then why are you proposing to use Article 29.5.2?
Because that's the standard clause that we use, the standard article that we ratify international treaties under.
And I'll read that clause back to you.
It could always be argued that there's a small charge in ratifying anything.
Which would be a contradiction of what you've said in your opening statement. So which is it, Taoiseach?
Yes, so my understanding is that only if the ICF case was won would that arise. But like I say, it's something I can check with the Attorney General on, and we'd be happy to do so. But nobody's arguing that we'd ratify this without a democratic vote in the Dáil. We'd have to.
I appreciate that, but in your opening statement, you said that this would present no charge to the public, and to the public funds. So now you're saying, well, actually, there will be a charge to public funds. Which is it? There's no charge on public funds. So then why would you use Article 25.5.2, which provides, and I'll quote again to you, the state shall not be bound by any international agreement involving a charge upon the public funds, unless the terms of the agreement shall have been approved by Dáil Éireann?
Because we believe that the Dáil should ratify any international agreement.
Public funds, but you told us there is no charge upon the public funds.
Definitely. This is a constitutional legal question that I really have to check with the Attorney General on. I don't want to give you an answer today that turns out to be incorrect. But I'm happy to come back to you on that. Okay. Maybe come back to us on that negative list question that my colleague, Senator Sherlock, raised. Serious concerns from trade unions. So what's your response in relation to that list? Like I say, that's one of the things I'll come back to you on.
When?
Either during the session or later in the week.
Okay. So I'm not getting many answers so far during my minutes, Taoiseach. I think you'd accept that at least. Talk to me about the rest of Europe, because let's be clear on this. A number of significant countries have not yet ratified this treaty. France, Netherlands, Germany, indeed the French government, which I think you'd accept as the closest government to Canada. There's no urgency there at all. In fact, Minister Clement Beaune in March of this year said that France would not even contemplate ratifying CETA ahead of the presidential elections in 2022. Such is the level of discontent in the population. So given all of that, why should we be rushing to ratify this treaty, Tom?
No, it's not a rush, Senator. As I outlined earlier, half or more than half of EU countries have already ratified this treaty, and it was agreed years ago and has already been ratified by the European Parliament. So if we were rushing, we would be one of the first to ratify. I would like us to be one of the first to ratify. I'd like us to be in the advanced group to do so. We're already going to be in the second half. In terms of Germany, there's a court case issue which is yet to be resolved, but I think they will ratify. You mentioned France has already gone through their National Assembly, their lower house hasn't gone through the Senate. You mentioned the French presidential elections. They're in April or May next year. So I would read those comments as saying that France intends to ratify sometime next year, maybe even the earlier part of next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it as straightforward at all. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's huge concerns over this treaty and over the investor court system aspect of this treaty in particular. And as has been pointed out, and as you conceded already, private citizens can't use this treaty. This is a special court just for companies. When you think of the hurdles that private citizens have to go through before they can take a case to the Supreme Court. Why is it? How is it in Irish people's interest to set up a separate court system specifically for companies? And secondly, I don't understand your lack of concern. You say that the risks to Ireland are negligible of having to pay compensation in relation to this treaty. And yet, as has been pointed out to you, over 1,000 Canadian companies are currently taking cases. What's wrong with our own court system?
Thanks, Deputy. I think it's in the interest of Irish companies and Irish firms, and therefore will be in the interest of Irish workers and Irish people. There's nothing wrong with our national court system. And as you pointed out correctly, any case any Canadian company might wish to take, it can take already. It's a false argument that some people are making, perhaps not you, Senator, that this would open up the possibility of litigation when that litigation already happens and happens regularly using national court systems and using international arbitration mechanisms. This is just a new avenue, a more efficient system, and a system that would be beneficial to Irish companies operating in Canada. So that's why we think it's to the benefit of people. I can understand why people may be against this treaty, and that's fair enough. And they're going to vote against it no matter when the vote is, whether it was last year, this year, or in 2 years' time. What I don't understand is arguments that somehow we should wait to ratify it last, or wait until we're the last 2 or 3 countries to ratify it. If you're for it, fair enough. If you're against it, fair enough. But I don't understand this argument that it's somehow beneficial to drag this out, or to wait until we're the last or second last or third last country to ratify. And I would love somebody to explain that argument to me as to why we should defer ratification. Is there anyone on this call who's going to change their mind just because we're the last country or the second last country to do it? I think there's a clear advantage in being one of the early countries to ratify because of the message that it sends to our Canadian allies, the message it sends around our commitment to free trade and to commerce. Just coming back to you on the question in relation to the ratification legal mechanism, I'm advised that CETA is considered to be an international agreement under Irish law, the provisions of which could give rise to a possible charge on the state in the future. For example, hypothetically, if there was an ICS award against the state. However, unlikely that possibility is considered. Were the terms of CETA to be approved by Dáil Éireann, a separate decision of government would then be required, authorising the notification of the completion of Ireland's domestic procedure concerning the ratification of CETA to the General Secretariat of the Council, and no further Dáil approval will be required at that point.
Which confirms that your statement in your original opening statement, which you haven't given us, was incorrect. Thank you, Taoiseach.
Thanks, Senator Gavan. Your time is up. Senator Gallagher, you're next.
Thanks very much, Taoiseach, and thanks for your statement earlier.